Hey, well, we're live and I'm doing a recording and um, don't expect much in the way of an audience, but I wanted to kind of do my first Friday facts and feelings episode. And what I have planned for this episode is essentially um, going through some frequently asked questions that I found online and just talking about those things for maybe the people that are interested in um, weight loss surgery and um, some of the things that go on. I'm about 6 months into it now and get a lot of questions from people when they find out that I've gotten the surgery. And so now I'm just trying to share some of the things that I've learned, and hopefully that'll help some people who might watch the recording and that kind of thing. So I'm going to bring up some of the questions I have. And of course, if you personally have questions and you happen to be watching this, you can, which way is it that way? You can enter in comments, ask a question while we're chatting here. So uh, this is the first time I've done anything live on here, so you'll just have to bear with me because it'll probably suck. Yeah, no, but that's just the way it goes. And so let me get to where I was going to go. I hope you guys are doing really well. So one of the first things I'll answer here is there's a question about how many grams of protein do you get daily, and generally speaking, a rule of thumb is multiply your body weight times 0.3, and then you'll get the amount of grams of protein that you should be getting for your body. And as you lose weight, that number actually goes down. You don't have to maintain 80, 90, or 100 grams of protein every day as you've lost weight. And so protein is really about building muscle tissue and repairing tissues in your body. And it doesn't necessarily protect muscle. You still have to exercise, do resistance exercise, and exercise those muscles so the protein helps replace and build those muscle fibers and everything. But you generally don't need to rely on protein to actually protect against muscle loss. Exercise is really the only thing that's going to do that for you. But as far as grams of protein, it's 0.3 times your body weight gives you the protein that you want to go try to get to every day. So some of the other questions, again, if anyone happens to be watching this and you have a question about it, throw it down. I saw a good one here. Here's one. I'm only 3 weeks out from surgery, and will I ever be able to eat sandwiches again? And yes, sure, you can eat a sandwich again. Everyone's different. Everyone responds to food a little bit differently. And it really kind of depends on over time what you tolerate, right? I personally don't eat hardly any bread whatsoever. I haven't had a sandwich I had half of a sandwich maybe one time in the last 6 months. I will occasionally have a wrap, kind of a low carb wrap. And I used to eat sandwiches, tons and tons of sandwiches, but I really don't now. And I really haven't had that much of a desire to, as far as that goes. So it's been kind of weird because it really hasn't been an issue. But as far as wanting to eat sandwiches, yes. But what you may experience is different way that it might feel in your stomach or pouch when you eat it. That bread, I've found on the times that I have had bread, doesn't travel well, at least for me, very well through there. So it always felt like there was something kind of stuck, or it seemed like it was more difficult to swallow and get through than some of the other things. So I tend to avoid bread, but I know there's plenty of people that eat sandwiches all the time. So I know it's perfectly doable at some point. Not necessarily necessary, uh, but definitely doable. And other questions. What's the total amount of carbs I should have a day? And you're going to hear a lot of opinions on this. And this is really, I guess, opinion based on a lot of things that I've read. So I don't count carbs at all anymore. I did early on. I counted them. I counted calories, carbs, protein, and all that kind of thing. I really don't do that now because I've become convinced that it's not so much about the calories per se or the exact carb totals, but it's about the type of carbs that you're eating. So simple carbs, sugar, and those kind of things, totally avoid. High fiber plants and those types of fiber are generally well received by your body, and a lot of them pass through. One of the things that we have to realize is that a calorie isn't necessarily the same food to food to food. So, a calorie is a unit of measurement, right? It's a physical sort of thing. It's not really a physiological thing, though, right? Your body doesn't evaluate calories as you're eating them. But what it does do is it metabolizes some foods better than it metabolizes other foods. And so one person may metabolize oatmeal really, really, really well, and another person may not. One person may metabolize chicken really well, the next person may not. And part of this path is finding the right combinations of food, and regardless of whether you've had the surgery yet or not. Part of what we're trying to do is find out what foods we metabolize the best, regardless of calories, because that response to it is really personalized. There's no one perfect diet out there. If someone tells you that one particular diet is the absolute way to go for everybody, it's BS. It's not gonna happen. Everybody's different. There was a study done by Stanford called the Diet Fit Study, just within the last few years, that compared two groups of people as a randomized controlled trial, where half of the people were put on a low carb diet, half of the people were put on a low calorie diet, or a low fat diet, I should say, a low fat diet versus a low carb diet. Same amount of calories for both groups, but one low carb, one low fat. And what they discovered over the several months of this study is both of them on the low fat side, they weren't doing low carb, right? They were just having low fat and ate quite a few more carbs than the low carb group. Well, turns out both groups lost almost the identical amount of weight on both sides of this. The other thing that they found is that people in both groups didn't lose weight, and people in both group actually gained weight, regardless of how many calories, even though they were eating the same calories across the board from low carb versus low fat. They were doing the same amount of, the same daily routine and exercise and everything like that. But there were people that still gained weight, even though they were eating the same thing that the people that lost weight or kept their weight level. And so what this is starting to show for people is that it's about how your body metabolizes food. So I believe we have to do a certain amount of experimentation with foods to find the right thing for us. Now, in a perfect world, we would map our microbiome and our gut bugs and get a report to exactly what foods we metabolize the best, because every person's a little bit different. But most of us aren't able to do that. So it kind of takes a little bit of experimentation. So I hesitate to say, oh, hey, we need this many carbs, because it's just not completely accurate. It can vary a lot from person to person. I don't count them at all. And like I said, try to make good choices that seem to work well for me. So my diet, I'm mostly plant based, and I eat some meat and some eggs, but primarily plant based, and eat a wide variety of plants every week to try to feed all of the different bugs in my gut. And that seems to be working for me. I've been consistently losing for the last 6 months, haven't really had any particular stalls, and that's my journey. And there are people that are going to experience it different. I can't say with 100% certainty that that's just because of the food choices I've made. I think they have a hand in that, but I don't think that's just it. Some of it's going to depend on my physiology, my genetics, my sex. All of that stuff is going to make a difference in how you progress. And some people progress really slowly, some people progress really quickly, and most of us are somewhere in between. So that's just something to keep in mind. Um, I saw a real. I lost my camera there for a minute. I saw that. Oh, battery warning. Well, that is unfortunate, but good to know that my camera's having a problem. So, uh, again, first time doing it, probably won't be the last, but this one's probably going to suck. So I'm actually going to end the live stream and put my continuous power on my camera, and we'll try this again in the near future. So thanks for watching what I've had so far, and we will talk to you again soon. Take care.